When I say looking at something with 1,000 eyes, it's if I'm sitting here, I can't see what's behind me, what's above me, what's below me, what's to the sides of me, unless I turn my eyes and look. But if I've got 1,000 set of eyes, I can see everything. And so often you can see everything because you've already seen it before.
2, 1, 0.
Hi, welcome to Stellar Life Podcast. This is your host, Orion. And today I have with me my friend Serena Poon. And I am so proud to call her my friend because this woman is so amazing, so beautiful, so kind, so deep. And in this interview, I actually discovered things about her that I did not know. We met a few times in different circles and we were parts of different masterminds and we became friends. And in this interview, just with simple questions and just by listening to her history, I was blown away by the depth of her. Because when you meet Serena, she's very, very much well put together, soft spoken, but she is a powerhouse and she is a go-getter. And she didn't only survived her past and her health issues, she is thriving and such a beautiful example and a model for someone who own themselves, who own their health, who owns their life. And it's just beautiful to witness and beautiful to watch. Serena Poon is a certified nutritionist and a celebrity chef, Reiki Master, and wellness and longevity advisor to A-list clientele. Her lifestyle brand, Serena Loves, was launched in 2019 and it aims to encompass all the pillars of optimal health, well-being, and longevity. She also created the method of Culinary Alchemy, a combination of education, integrative and functional nutrition, and healing energy. In addition, she is the founder of Add Water, a wellness line of super nutrient food and supplement. What's really remarkable about Serena, well, there is a lot that is remarkable about her, is that when she enters a room, you really feel her presence. And she always carries herself with this beautiful gentleness and kindness and beauty. And she's the type of person that will send you little gifts. Just really, really a special, unique person and friend. And I'm so happy to share her with you today on this beautiful interview. Enjoy. Hi, Serena, and welcome to Stellar Life Podcast. Thank you so much for being here, darling. It's nice to see you.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to see you. You look beautiful, and it's always always such a blessing to share space with you, whether it's virtual or online or in person.
You're just very, very much an inspiration, and you guys are going to learn a little bit about her in a minute. This beauty is a powerhouse, and today she's going to share a little bit about her brand, a little bit about how she created this success, some longevity secrets maybe we can get in. And of course, everything Serena Love and where it's heading. So before we begin, can you share a little bit about your passion? Like, what is your mission in life? Why are you here?
Oh, well, thank you. That's actually a beautiful way to begin. So thank you, and thank you for having me here. So my mission, my passion, people often ask me where it came from, and that's my parents, and I can always kind of trickle back and talk about that. But, my mission is literally, it's simple. I truly feel that I'm here to help people heal and optimize their well-being, their health, and however that looks like for them. And in that process, to really live a long and vibrant life. So some people call that health span, lifespan, but that's why I'm here. And so I do that in several different ways. Of course, we do that in the creation of content to make that available and accessible. I am in the endless pursuit of what can I do to make myself better. And then I take that information and I share it with my community. And that's through, it's not just what you do, what you put into your body, what you do to your physical body, but also what you do with your emotional body, your energy body, your soul body, your mind body. And so my journey has, beginning from when my parents were sick with cancer, which is really where the inspiration for this mission comes from. They were very young, in their 40s. And then I journeyed through this evolution of self-care and self-love. And so often when we are caretakers, we pour all of our energy into caring for the ones we love the most.
Yeah.
And we forget about ourselves. And so often that's really sort of the core foundation and the root of our own imbalances, our own discomforts often come from that as it's really, it's really our soul, our mind, our heart, body that speaks through our physical body when those discomforts come up. And that often comes from a place of not putting enough care into ourselves as we care for everything else, whether it's our loved ones, our families, our business. And so through that journey, I had several health challenges of my own. I went through 8 surgeries and
Wow.
sort of
For
a
what?
constant balance. I actually had MRSA, which is a deadly staph infection that was it came about after a surgery that I had had. My parents, our daddy was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer when I was still in college, my senior year. And so he fought a really hard battle with that. And he transitioned after a little over a year,
I'm sorry.
which is probably a few months longer than they expected him. So he's such a warrior. And after he transitioned and he was 48, our mom was diagnosed with a rare form of ovarian cancer, and she was 45. So, at the time, it's just a lot of like chaos and fear. And, there's so much in that process as your loved one is going through something really difficult and the whole family, right? And unbeknownst to us at the time, it wasn't a realization until much later, because there's no history of cancer at all in my mom's family. It was really, the stress. It was a rapid, rare, really rare 1 in a million type of cancer. And the growth rate of the tumor, they were sort of able to date it back to, it probably started when my dad was dying.
Wow.
And that wasn't something that we put together till later, because of course we weren't taking care of ourselves. We were hyper focused on him. And so, fast forward, back into that kind of caretaking. Well, we never really leave into that caretaking space with my mama. And, I developed just a lot of inflammation in my body. We hear about this all the time. And inflammation can come from, again, externals in the form of the food we eat, the environment we're in, but also internal, the way we manage our stress, our thoughts, our own processing, which is a balance between our mind body, our heart body, but also our physical body, right? So I developed a lot of inflammation, and after a few years, had a lot of sort of imbalances, discomforts. I'd get sick with some sort of a cold or flu every year after the holidays, because that's when I was going so hard as a chef at the time, because that was my primary career. And gut, discomforts, all kinds of things. And I eventually had to have surgery because I had so much inflammation. There was, tissue that was damaged in my chest.
Wow.
And I had a surgery, and I actually got MRSA from the surgery. So it's very common in hospitals and what we actually consider very sterile environments. But at the same time, there's also still a lot of germs and, bacteria there. So I got MRSA, and it's a deadly staph infection. It's resistant to most antibiotics. And then that became a journey of mine for the next, 8 surgeries, about 8 years, was trying to get this out. And it was in my chest, so it took us several years, and I changed, doctors and surgeons, and had the head of the infectious disease department at UCLA, and we finally figured out, and then a breast cancer doctor, oncologist. And we finally figured out that MRSA was sort of, kind of nestled into my milk ducts in my breasts. And so So needless to say, and I know that you understand this, just sort of from that, and that feminine body, you know, that's an area where there's just sort of constant, you know, inflammation, but also that there's this, you know, surgeries happening there, and there's sickness, and there's, so, so yeah, so that was part of my journey, but it really led me to a place where I kind of came up with what it is that I do now. I'm not sure if I shared with you when I almost died after my fourth surgery. It was
No, you haven't.
kind of, so that again is all part of this journey. You know, I started my career off as a chef. I went to study culinary arts and really learning how to make beautiful food as medicine. That was my inspiration from my parents, you know, seeing that with traditional medicine, they weren't getting what they needed, and looking at other alternatives, believing that there was more than what we were actually doing. Not to say that I have anything, I'm not opposed to traditional medicine or allopathic or Western medicine, but I believe that there's more. So I went to culinary school to study food as medicine. I felt that was missing in that process with my parents, and really dived into nutrition and holistic nutrition and Ayurvedic and Chinese medicine, just all the things. And so that's how I transitioned into a practitioner through food, as a chef, catering for people, all in the private space. And all the while I had sort of this underlining health issue of my own. You know, I had this MRSA that was inside of me. I was, you know, constantly sort of managing a baseline of higher levels of inflammation, just from also being a very high performer and going, you know, that sort of entrepreneurial blood running through my stream. And so it culminated into me having to have a surgery again, which is the fourth one, to try and get rid of this MRSA that was constantly causing problems. And I was doing everything that I knew, diet and lifestyle wise, to kind of keep it at bay. But this is something that had to come out of my body. So had my surgery, and 12 days post-op, I had a massive hematoma, and I didn't feel right because now this is my fourth. I'd had a few surgeries. I sort of knew what kind of, you know, it's like your body gets hit by a truck, you know, or a train when you have major surgery for hours and you're under anesthesia. So there are certain things I kind of felt used to, but something didn't feel quite right. There was something that my body was trying to tell me, and I didn't know what it was. I didn't feel quite right. I felt weaker than normal. There was still some bleeding. I told my surgeon. He said, you know, let's leave drains in, and we'll go a couple more days, even though I'd already had them in for several days. At that point, it was 10 days. And 12th day, I had a massive hematoma, which was bleeding that was caused internally because I had a stitch that tore
Oh
a
my
muscle.
goodness. I'm so, like, you've been through hell and back. My
But
goodness.
this is how you learn, you know? So because of that, it was a whole thing. I truly believe that my daddy, who had passed, right, and other angels were looking out for me. It was truly a miracle. You know, I was bleeding. I lost almost 2 liters of blood. I was by myself
My goodness.
in my apartment. I somehow was able to get one of my, you know, my clients. It was a Saturday afternoon. Call in the medical director at Cedars, who happened to have a trauma unit, you know, a separate trauma office, an OR, 10 blocks from my house. And they came and got me and saved my life.
Wow.
So many blessings, and so often I have to reflect in that moments where we look at blessings and miracles when they're in a beautiful form. You know, when something incredible happens to you and you're like, oh, what a blessing, what a miracle, I'm so lucky. And what I've come to realize is that blessings and miracles come in every form. And even in that journey, when that happened, it was such a blessing to have these people in my life, to live where I was living, to have the right people pick up the phone. It was so many blessings. And it was a really tough journey healing from that. I wasn't well. I was weak. There was a lot of things. I obviously couldn't cook. and I didn't know for how long. I wasn't able to use the entire upper left side of my body. So I
What?
definitely couldn't cook.
Wow.
Yeah, I couldn't move it. And it took months, and I thought, wow, how am I going to support myself? This is my livelihood, and I can't cook. I can't barely move. I could barely go from my bedroom to the bathroom. I was so weak. And yet, this MRSA is still inside my body. By the way, it was still there.
Oh my goodness.
And that's when I realized, okay, wait, I have all this information, all this knowledge about nutrition. I've been studying this since my daddy got sick. It's been years now. And I just put this into the food, and I just talk to and tell my clients about this when I'm cooking for them. And I thought, well, what can I do with that? And I know what to do pre-operative, post-operative, like how I can really accelerate my body for the healing. Because after this happened with nearly dying, I still had to have another surgery. They had just gone in, took things out, stopped the bleed, stitched me up, but I looked like Frankenstein, and I was nearly necrotic. So they said, we can't go back in for at least 2 months, 8 weeks, because you've lost so much blood. We need to build, you need to build back your hemoglobin. And I thought, I can't live like this for 8 weeks. I've got to find a way to do it in shorter time. And just using my knowledge of like how to pair foods and, nutrition, supplements, how to eat, when to eat, I just put myself on a really, really disciplined program. And I was able to raise my levels in 5 weeks and then go back into surgery to repair things. But that experience is what made me think, okay, I can still help people without putting food in front of them. I can still help people without feeding them. That was how I initially thought, this is how I'm going to teach people and how I'm going to help. And so I just took the cooking part out. I built my nutritional, consulting practice that was now not just straightforward nutrition. It was this combination of, it's integrative, functional, intuitive, all of it. And that's where Culinary Alchemy, this method that I have, was sort of birthed from. So it was taking your physiology, your physical body, but then also your energy body. At that point was when I started going into more spiritual practices, and working with a master healer, and realizing that every time we had a session, she's telling me about these areas of my body and my energy centers where she's releasing blocks, or she's balancing. And I thought, well, how can I help her? Like, how can I take what she's doing? How am I blocking myself? And some of it is our emotions, some of it's our thoughts. But our energy centers line up with our physical body, and our organs. And so realizing that there is this correlation between our energy centers and what governs our root and our sacral and our solar plexus, wow, those imbalances also align with those areas of our body and those organ systems.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized, wow, I can eat the foods and the supplements that support those organ systems while also then supporting my energy centers. And this became Culinary Alchemy and this sort of like method. And I started applying it to my clients that I already had who were open to trying something a little different. And we got results. So while I was waiting to heal, and while I was going through the healing process in order to be able to use my left, hand and left arm again the way I was, I didn't even know if I was going to at the time, I dived into just the consulting part. And that's kind of brought me to where I am today.
Wow. This is an incredible story. What do you think was driving you? People go through a lot of hardships, and some people take it and channel it to what you have created today. And some people, honestly, they don't do the research, or they just believe the doctors, or they just give up. What was driving you to take this excruciating pain? And it's pain on so many levels, mentally, physically, emotionally. You can't move your body. There is so much uncertainty. Like, where did you get the freaking strength to move forward?
I really believe that I draw from what we all have within. We just forget. I was sitting there because it's very easy to go into sort of a victim state. It's easy. We've all done it. Even if you're not a victim, even if you're a student of Tony Robbins, as I am, he's a friend and mentor, and definitely will forever be a student of that kind of what he teaches. And at the time, I didn't even know Tony Robbins existed, so it really could have used him then. It was just, it was full in that mentality. It was what is my life? Why is this happening? Here I am. I'm sitting up against the wall of my little apartment in my bedroom, and I know I need to use the restroom, which is really on the other side of the wall. And I can't move. I'm so weak. I'm literally like bracing myself to crawl around the wall so that I can get into the bathroom, and then I'm going to be wiped out again. And just the level of heat and inflammation from my poor body for what it had been through, I was just drenched in sweat all the time. Like back then, I had such sympathy and empathy for women going through menopause, because I'd wake up drenched in sweat like multiple times a night, where I'd had to, I'd change my sheets, but then I'd have to move to different parts of my bed. Wow. Because the body was just trying to heal and had undergone so much. I would definitely say I was sort of in it for a couple weeks, for a few weeks, just thinking, what is my life? Like, I'm a good person. Why did this happen to me? Why is this happening to me? What did I do wrong? Mm-hmm. You kind of go through all of that, right? And then there was this reminder, which is, I feel like, where I always go to when I'm in a tough spot, which is remembering that there is something greater than myself. And when we're in that victim state, we're just focused on us. We're focused on our pain, our agony, our experience, our suffering. Mm-hmm. And when you can grasp something that is bigger than you, which if you have children, it may be your children, like people have different.
What was the bigger than yourself thing for you? What was it for you? What was that moment or that shift?
So for me, it was remembering why I'm doing what I'm doing. It was my dad and my mom, and remembering that, why am I a chef? Why am I here? Why am I worried about not being able to make a living because I can't use my left hand? Like, why am I here? And why am I alive? And it was to remember, oh wait, right, I'm supposed to be doing this. I have this mission. I have this reason for having gone to college. I have this reason for what I am doing. And that's what I'm supposed to be getting back to. And just remembering that was enough. I was, I'm focused on me right now. And my mission is not about me. My mission is about something that is so much greater than me. My mission is in service. My mission is in serving. It's not even quantifiable. Like, once you share and you put out information out into the ethers, whether it's just to your immediate circle or then to your larger community, it is immeasurable. And like, that's why I'm here. Ooh. So it was sort of like, oh my gosh, I need to get better right now. I need to get better because this is what I'm here for. I'm not here to sit against the wall and cry about how miserable my life is right now. Obviously, I'm saying focus on something else. Focus on something that's greater than you is helpful, and you may or may not be able to kind of attune to that in that moment. The other part of it was whether or not you're religious, or spiritual, or just that you believe, whether or not you believe in God or the universe or angels, whatever it is that you believe in. My core belief comes back down to, we weren't put here to suffer. That's not what the universe wants us to do. That's not what God, we're not put here to suffer. So that means that whatever it is that we're going through that feels painful, that feels like suffering, there's something on the other side of that. And it's just about getting to the other side, because that is not what something greater than us some higher being, some higher power. That's not why we're here. We're not here to suffer, but we are here to learn. So what is it that I need to learn in this moment? What is it that I'm not seeing? What is the lesson that it's either right before me, or it's right on the other side of what I'm looking at, or I need to look at it. And I have a phrase I say it quite often to my team, to clients, and it's just looking at something with 1,000 set of eyes, as opposed to just your one set of eyes.
I love
And it
that.
just gives you much greater
And how do you do
perspective,
that?
you know?
How do you get outside of yourself and have those thousand set of eyes?
Well, you know, it's kind of a step-by-step thing, right? So if I believe that, okay, this feels awful right now, this is painful, this sucks, none of this makes sense. You know, if we were in that space where like, why is this happening? Then you take that opportunity to answer your own why, you know, and the why is, okay, maybe it's right in front of me. What is it that I'm not seeing that's right in front of me that I'm not picking up on? And if I can't figure it out, just like looking at it, then I think I'm going to put on another set of eyes. What's behind what's right in front of me? And I just kind of keep going and looking further out and further out and further out. And what happens is, if you put your hand right in front of your face, you can't see anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just see your skin. You might see some of the lines in your hand, and it's just putting things out further and further and further. It's just perspective and trying to see who you are from like 30,000 feet up.
Do you do it in meditation or do you do some writing exercises? Or do you...
I do meditation. You know, I think that there's a couple things that have helped me when I've been in that space. Now, I didn't have these tools when this happened. When I almost died after that fourth surgery, and then I had to like recover, and then I had to have a fifth, and I'm sort of completely lost, not knowing what. I didn't have those tools, but I have what we all have. And we all have a compass, an internal compass. We all have this voice. We have our intuition. We have this sense of ourselves that is very powerful, and we forget about it. We lose sight of it. You know, it gets sort of drowned out in the noise of everything that is around us. You know, that's why, like, ultimately, everything that I'm teaching, whether it's through food or supplements or longevity tips, and, you know, the stories that I share and about mindfulness and mindset, it all really comes down to that we source from ourselves. And when we source from that internal, we're sourcing from our higher self, you know, but it's like forgetting that power is really within us. It just sort of gets drowned out when we get distracted. So going within is what I always do, you know, and I didn't really learn it. It really took being at that point and asking and being in just full, whether you call it victim or whatever, you're just fully in, why is this happening? What is my life? Is this my life? Sweating against this wall, figuring out when I'm going to be able to crawl to the other side to use the bathroom. Wow. Is this my life? And the answer is no. No matter where we're at our lowest and difficult, most painful points, when you ask yourself that, the answer is always no. This is not your life. Your life is so much greater than how we've like narrowed our focus to be, you know, and I hold up the hand and use that because usually that's our perspective when we're in that mental space, is we're looking at this and we're thinking, this is my whole world. I can't see anything. I can't see around it. I see no beauty, no light. I see nothing. You hold your hand further out. Now you see the room and you see the outside and you see the sun and you see nature and you see all the things. And we do that all, we all do that. It's so human. It's a human experience, right? We so often do that. And when I say looking at something with 1,000 eyes, it's if I'm sitting here, I can't see what's behind me, what's above me, what's below me, what's to the sides of me, unless I turn my eyes and look. But if I've got 1,000 set of eyes, I can see everything, you know? And so often you can see everything because you've already seen it before. right? So if you're sitting here right now in this room and you look out, and for any listeners, if you're sitting down, you just look straight and you don't turn your head anywhere, all you see is what's right in front of
Right.
you. But at one point you saw what's to each side of you. You've seen what's behind you. You've seen every angle of the room that you're in at one point.
Mm-hmm.
So you just have to imagine that you've got eyes 360, right? And so now if all those eyes are open, you can take in so much more information. You're looking at every single nook and cranny of this room. You're taking in the light, you're taking in sound, you're taking in everything. If you're looking at it with all of those eyes. And we actually do have all of those eyes. That's perspective, that's intuition, that's our internal compass, that's our higher self, it's all of it. So, in those moments when you're like, is this how things are? The answer in this case, in other cases, maybe the answer is always yes. But in this case, the answer is always no. There is always more.
Yeah.
And there's always better. And like, this is just temporary, and then remembering who you are,
Yeah.
So there's a quote by David. He's a singer-songwriter, some band. I can't remember which band. I'm terrible with that stuff. But he says, there's no one but you, and that is your power. And we forget that, because we look for external validations in different forms. But the fact that we're unique.
Yes. Do you believe in multiple timelines, in jumping timelines, in creating a different movie for yourself?
I do, I've talked about this, with Stefan and, so many other people. I just came from a weekend in a workshop where we talked a lot about quantum.
Right.
We've talked about the multiverse and the different dimensions, and we talked about the Tauruses, right? And the toroidal universe that we all exist in, and we talked about all that. We talked about black holes and wormholes and 0 point, and so I believe in all of that. I do believe that we live in a multi-dimensional existence. I do believe we are in some ways living in what's already happened. It's almost like we're catching up to that. And at the same time, I do also believe that there's different paths to your ultimate outcome, and that's the journey of your existence. And so with free will, you can always you can go in a slightly different direction. Our endpoints, I think, usually the same, but the journey to how we get to that endpoint, there can be a variety to that, a variety of options. And that's based on free will and the ability, as you say, to create different outcomes, right? But that's just sort of along the way.
Yeah. And that choice you made at that moment against the wall, drenching in sweat, and that aha moment and that decision actually shifted the outcome from, like you said, a victim to someone who is such a leader in her area and such a bright light, with all that you do. So
Yeah.
I have so much deeper appreciation to the person that you are now. Like, I know you and you're sweet and all, but
Yeah.
I didn't know that your story in this depth, and it's just like, wow, it's amazing, it's impressive, and I can understand the drive. And by looking at you, I would never even imagine that you've been through like any suffering in your life, because you're so light and bubbly and everything is like great. So yeah, it's just impressive and beautiful and inspiring. And I want to,
Thank you.
and I feel like I can
Mm.
talk to you forever and ever, because
Oh yeah, I would love to.
it's so nice.
Mhm.
It's so nice to hear that perspective, and it's very inspiring.
Well, it's also our mind, right? And something I would love to remind your listeners and mine and anyone listening is, so much of it is just our mind. If you have a belief, you're going to be seeking and searching all the reasons why that belief is true. So if you believe you're a victim, you're going to look at your situation and your brain's going to be See, this is proof, this is proof, this is proof. And it's just going to pull all the information from your situation to validate and confirm this belief, this perception, whether it's just in the mind or visually or in every one of your senses, that you are a victim, right, of your circumstances. If you say no to that, and you say, no, I don't know exactly what my purpose is, or maybe you do have your purpose, and you're like, I know I'm more than this. I know that I have a greater purpose than this. I know that I am greater than this moment right now, and I am not measured by this moment. You're telling your brain on a subconscious, conscious, and unconscious level, okay, validate this, give me all the reasons that show me how I'm more, how this is a no, what's my why. Like, it starts to happen and you don't even realize it. Once you've said, no, that's not me, this is what I need to be doing, this is who I am, I'm here to serve, then all this information starts to come in that was already right in front of us, but our brain wasn't pulling at it because our brain was trying to validate a different
Nice. It was
thought
it
and a
was busy
different belief.
with our victim mentality rather than focusing on a brighter, beautiful future. The pull, it was like a pull back, not forward. That makes a lot of sense. So your brand, Serena Loves, what is it? I wanted to talk more about that, and I know you have a new supplement line, and I want to share this with the audience. So maybe you can share a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Serena Loves is just it's my brand. It's a personal brand that's evolved into a lifestyle brand, and even more, I guess, and really what it is just it's just all the things I love. In my journey, what I've learned, what has helped me, what has helped my clients, what do I love that I know is useful for other people. And so that's really how the platform started, how the brand started. Let me just share food, nutrition in that way. There's a lot on there with that. And then it was, obviously I'm very spiritual. I'm a Reiki Master. And I that's part of my practice, part of the method, part of what I do. So there are tools for that, from sprays that are very special that have been Reiki'd with crystals and bracelets, and a very special candle that we created in honor of my daddy that has
Yeah, I have that candle. It's so good. Thank
yeah,
you for sending
yeah.
it. It was so sweet of you.
Oh yeah, no,
And I just love how your products
I'm so
come, like the packaging is impeccable. It's so beautiful. It's so luxurious. I just love it.
thank you. Well, we want them, it to be experiential, right? And it's supposed to nurture you and love you and touch you in a way that makes you
I even
feel.
saved the box
Um,
for my son because they're like, this is such a nice box. We gotta save it.
oh yeah, great. Well, yeah, it's for that. We hope that people save them actually for that exact reason. They carry a frequency because
Oh
everything is
wow.
blessed. Yeah, everything's blessed and Reiki before they go out to people. And so it felt like a natural transition to also offer supplements. It was something that I had considered years ago, and it's a big undertaking.
Huge
And so
undertaking.
I didn't do it initially, and then COVID happened, and the 2020 was the busiest year I'd had with my business up till that point. It's just gotten busier since, but up to that point, 2020, gosh, I had never worked so hard. I mean, that now I think back, 2020, wow, I work 10 times harder now. But, the point of that was that it, with COVID and everything that happened, it brought people to this greater awareness of themselves and their
So
health.
true.
And there's so many questions, so many questions that were coming in, and what to take and what to do. And I thought, okay, it's time to put something out there, because there are certain brands that I really love that I recommend, I use myself, and then there's a lot of brands out there that don't have the same level of quality. Processes aren't the same from ingredient to fulfillment. And so we finally thought, okay, it's time to put out some products that we think are, what we know are really great. I know that they're high quality. I know that they're effective, and I know that they help people.
So what type of supplements do you
So
have?
So we have things for gut, we have digestive support. We've got a lot of stress support, because that has sort of been, it's a running theme, but at the same time, from COVID to now, it's a constant. So we have stress support, adrenal
Wow.
support, energy and metabolism support, and we've got sleep and anxiety support, all of that, and then I know
I
immune
need all
support
of
as
it.
well. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
I said I need all of it.
Oh yeah, gosh, I have to send you some. We have 8 SKUs that came out right before the holidays, and then we have 5 more that are launching very soon. So then the entire collection will be available.
Well, congratulations. I am so impressed. This is beautiful. And I just like, because I know you as a person, and even after this conversation, I'm sure everybody that heard this so far and are still listening understand that how much in integrity you are with what you do. And I absolutely 100% sure that your supplements are top of the line, one of the best supplements out there in the market. So I'm so happy you came
Thank
up with
you.
them because with it because there's so many choices, and you never know who is who. So I actually feel very comfortable with like purchasing something from you that is top of the line, pure, and is done with so much love and so much heart. Like it's just like it's beautiful. I really really appreciate it. I definitely want to have you again on the show if you have time. Um,
Oh my gosh, I
down the
would love
road,
to.
yes.
I almost forgot. We have an app too. That's the other thing. It's all coming at the same
Yeah,
time. You just reminded me. The app, we have an app launching, end of this month actually. So I'll just say spring because this is
yeah.
evergreen. But we have an app launching that's trying to capture what I do, and the supplements will be on the app as well. It's just trying to capture what I do if I'm able to work one on one with someone, but I can't work with
Yes.
everyone. So that's something really exciting, and I'm happy to share that another
Yes,
time.
thank you so much. So definitely we're gonna have more conversations, and I really totally enjoyed everything that you shared, even though we didn't get in depth of like I have a million questions here we didn't even touch. But to be continued. Uh,
Oh my goodness.
before we say
Yes.
goodbye,
Yes. I talk too much.
no, no, everything that you shared was incredible. Before we say goodbye for now, what are your 3 top tips to living a stellar life? And where can people find you?
So, top tips, take care of your mind body. And whether that is through meditation, breath work, just quiet time, 15 minutes to yourself, just thinking about what you're grateful for. Take care of your physical body. Make sure you stay hydrated. You eat the rainbow, and you choose wholesome, whole foods, whatever your diet is. And the most important thing that I think is to love yourself as much as you love the ones you love most.
Oh,
And you can do that in different ways. So yeah. So I think that those 3 is going to ensure you a stellar life, a long life. And yeah, thank you so much. People can find me on my website. It's serenaloves.com, or on social. Instagram is probably my most active platform. That's Chef Serena
mm,
Poon, and everything links together. So
perfect. Then all those links are going to be in the show notes as well. Serena, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing your beautiful heart and all that wisdom with us. I really appreciate you, and I can't wait to see you in person anytime you're in Miami. Um,
yes,
yes,
yes.
yes,
Thank
yes,
you so
yes.
much for
I
having
can't wait
me.
to
Can't wait to
yeah,
hug.
give you a big hug. And thank you so much, listeners. Remember to take care of your mind body, take care of your physical body. Love yourself the way you love the ones you love the most, and have a stellar life. This is Orion. Till next time.